All right, so finding your target market, and I know we've had this topic before in the AWE program, but you can't really talk about target marketing without talking about branding. And it's important to have a brand. And you are your brand, and your work is your brand, and to have a cohesive brand is very important. What I'm going to talk about and the exercises we're going through, like I always say, one of the most important things about being a business owner is making decisions. And the more informed you are, the more thoughtful you are, the better decisions you're going to make. So this is just to kind of fill your brains. So when you're out there making decisions, you will have actually put some thought into it instead of just maybe being like, well, I guess. So don't worry, it's fun. So the first exercise, before we start off, I would like for everybody to write down who buys your stuff. When someone walks into the door and they purchase something from you, or if someone walks in the door, who is that person that you say, I know they're going to buy something? What does that person look like? And kind of a view. Would anyone like to share? Yeah.
So the cliche person is, and this is a kind of giveaway, is when they're in a great art to wear outfit. Okay, so that's happened on one standout person and the most unbelievable thing you've ever seen. And the second one is a stylish, well put together woman. But then there's anyone and anyone with no clue whatsoever. I play the game all the time, trying to guess. I don't have it down at all.
It's not always and it's not a model that's going to fit perfectly, but knowing who more often than not is, there are people who usually buy, you said a woman, you know a man, you've already cut like half the population out, which is important. So, I mean, that in itself is an important distinction. And you said a woman, you didn't say a teenager,
Right.
which is another very important distinction. And yeah, so those are already two right there. Hey, Kathleen. Anyone else?
Yeah, I just said female between the ages of 30 and 50, money but not overt about it. They're well dressed, but they're not ostentatious. They're usually a lover of textiles, they're usually well traveled, and they're always seeking something new.
Very nice. Down.
Yeah.
So I just have the general, but mainly women, sometimes men, ages 30 to 65, with some disposable income. They're often educated and employed.
Would it be helpful if people said what their craft is before they explain it?
Oh yeah, you can mention it if you want to.
Because, I mean, especially what you said, having seen your work, I know exactly, I'm picturing your work, and it's matching up exactly to what you just said. But people who don't know what your art is, I don't know if what you said would, I don't know if it makes a difference or not.
No, I think it's a good point.
So
Because who might buy your photographs might not buy my
Yeah.
movements, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's a different audience or a different customer base. Yeah. Okay, that's good.
All right, so we'll go ahead and move on. Is there anyone? Sure. Okay. Oh, yeah.
Question. Mine was actually very similar, and I'm sure a lot of us are looking at the same demographic. And I wonder, what the next, and maybe you're going to cover this, what the next steps are to be able to really specify who out of that demographic is going to buy my stuff or your stuff. you know, if they go through the, like, the Southern craft field, what's gonna make that person pick a wearable item or a book or a piece of jewelry or?
We'll go in.
Oh, good.
This is just a
Good,
little
good.
like beginner, yeah. Because it's important, because there is a very similar demographic among handmade, but you can't say handmade items though, because there's there's still a little bit of a range. So we'll go into, yeah.
I found that question really hard to answer because, one, I've only been selling for a few years, and the sales have been limited. Mine are one-of-a-kind art pieces that are not purchased, I don't think, by the average guy. If they would be a typical luxury type item, you can't wear it all. You look at it, and some of the pieces that I have sold have been at galleries where I never met the person. So
And that's very important.
I
We'll
have
talk
no
about-
clue
Yeah.
what they look like or what
And
their
that
background is or anything.
if you do not, do we talk about, okay, I can talk about that now. If you do not directly sell your work, you need to ask who does. And galleries, if they're a good gallery, will give you that information because they want your work to sell just as much as you want their work to sell.
Well, they have given me like the address for these people.
They
but
need to keep track of that information. If they are a gallery that, and a lot of gallery owners should be in this class because they don't know this information just as much as, and it blows my mind. They think they open a gallery, they have good work they're going to sell. It's not true. They should be keeping this information because they need to know who their target market is because they need to get artists in who will sell. And if they're not keeping this information, maybe you should ask them and
see,
say,
all I know is that it was a man from Miami, Florida, that was up here. Saw a piece that I had at the black and white exhibit at the Gill and bought it. Another piece was at a gallery in Concord, and it was a man that had moved from Colorado, and it was here in North Carolina, purchased it. And these were just kind of, and then a couple that was visiting the area that saw a piece that I did for a Scottish figure, and they had just visited Scotland, so it
Okay.
was just really kind of hard for me to.
yeah, well,
know
you have
who
a
they
little
are.
bit information. I mean, man, their travel,
Yeah.
they're on vacation, so they're looking for that special something. So, you might know that, but if you are in a gallery, they should be keeping this kind of information, really. Maybe not to any kind of great extent, but the age range, the price, you can tell how much someone makes usually, generally, income level, education is a really, and we'll talk about those things. So if you don't know this information, because you don't, for whatever reason, this is a time where you start knowing that information. We're just starting marketing, and we have kind of kept some of this information, but not as much as we probably should, so that's, we know that we need to start. The first thing, if you go to professional marketer, they're going to ask you all these questions. So, it's important information. So, branding. What is your brand? It provides the first and lasting impression that brings attention to you and your business. It highlights the specifics of what you have to offer and impacts how it's positioned and sold. It sets you apart from other options on the market. It conveys your taste, quality, and provokes an emotion in people. Have you ever thought about how you package yourself and how your work may draw certain customers? I was in a small town the other day, and I was starving, but I did not want to go into any of the restaurants. There was one restaurant, not any. There were like two. And even though I was really hungry, I wasn't going to go in the restaurant. And there's this psychology that happens that if you go into a store or a town or a place and you say, no, ew, ick, price is too high, technique isn't very good, quality isn't very good. If you already have all these no going on in your head, to sell someone a product when they already have all those no's is going to be really hard. They're gonna have to really like that product to buy it. So it's important that you have them saying yes, 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 yes. If they walk into your booth, if they come into the gallery that your work is in, if they come and visit the town where you live and they're already saying, yes, this is awesome, look at this, I love this, I love this, I love this, I love this, that sell is gonna be so much easier. So that's where branding comes in. Getting them to say yes, 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 being in that buying mood. And then you don't have to work so hard. But you have to work hard to get to that point where they're going to be wanting to say yes, yes, yes. So that's why it's really important to know about your brand, about your look, to know who that customer is who's going to be that yes customer. And what they think is going to get them to say yes. And what are those things where they're like, wow, look at her work, it's really nice, the display is really nice, the colors are really nice. But look at her. Is she someone I would want to sell from? Her hair is, you know, like if someone's really nice and they're the kind of woman that has dyed hair and painted nails and really expensive clothes on, they're gonna be more hesitant to buy from maybe. I mean, that's just something that can happen. Or if they like everything, they like the way you look, they like the way your stuff looks, they like the quality, they think it's really cool, but they can't buy right now and they ask for your business card, or if you have a website and you say, oh no, or you hand them a handmade printed business card that's kind of printed a little skewed. I mean, that can be the loss of a sale right there. And that's part of your branding. So having it from beginning to end being something that gets people to want to buy from you. It's not just about your stuff, it's about everything. And it's a lot, but when you're competing against companies that put thousands and thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars into this kind of stuff, it is important and it does make a difference. So, being said, exercise 2. This is a fun little exercise to get us all moving and shaking after that intense thought. If you could pick a celebrity that would be in your marketing material, and I use Kate Winslet, she would be my celebrity, or Brian Cox, he's my favorite male physics celebrity. I'd totally love him to have modeling my paintings or something. So go ahead and write down who you're, and it could be a local celebrity, someone who would just like epitomize your brand. Make your people want to buy your work if they saw that person. Would anyone like to share their celebrity?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would love it to be New York.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, because it would take this hand-woven, hand-dyed piece from one level to a completely different level, be seen in a whole different light.
Mm-hmm.
And just because of the way that she would wear it, so that's what I want. Yeah.
I want Michelle Obama to wear that.
Very cool. Then you have to just continue it, right? Could you hear that belt she wore?
Yeah. J. Crew discontinued, and the two little girls' coats as well.
Yeah.
Why did they discontinue?
Because they felt it would be almost insulting that someone else would buy and wear that.
Oh, okay, okay. It'd be all right.
So it's special.
It would be all right.
Okay,
That's fair. But if the name would be there.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyone else? All right. So your homework, we can save that to the end because we're going to kind of talk about it later. But so target market, there's market segmentation, and it means similar needs, wants, and demands, and that's kind of how you break it down into these pockets to make it a little bit easier. And the 4 basic factors that affect market segmentation is clear identification of the segments. Who are your customers? What do they look like? Who are they? What do they buy? What do they need, want, and demand? The measurability of its size. So how big is your market? Do you sell mustache cups, indie mustache cups? That's a smaller market than a traditional mug. A mustache cup, if you don't know, it's the one that has a little piece that protects your mustache, right? So that's a smaller market. If you were selling them out in
Wyoming, where there's a lot of.
yeah, it might be a bigger market, but if you're selling them in, I don't know, Florida, where there are less men with mustaches, I'm assuming, or they would especially use a indie mustache cup, your market is going to be really small. You're not going to have a lot of people to sell to. If your price is really high on your stuff, your market's not going to be very big. You need to know how many people out there are actually going to buy your stuff. If you have a great product, if you feel like you have a great product and you feel like you're doing a lot of things right and you're just not selling, it could be because the market just isn't big enough where you live. And you need to expand and grow. So that's why it's important to know how big it is. Accessibility through promotional efforts. Where do these people get their marketing from? Do they get it from Facebook? Do they get it from word of mouth? Do they get it from Angie's List? Do they get it from the newspaper? So where do they get their information from? And is it accessible to you? If you don't have a big marketing budget, say you have $300 a year to spend on marketing, and a lot of your market finds out their information from magazines, local magazines, then you're never going to be able to access that market because you don't have access to them because you can't afford it. So if you're making these products and you just can't afford to get your marketing to the people that are going to buy it, then you need to save some money so you can afford it, or you need to tweak your budget so you can afford it. So that's really important too, to know your limits and know what's needed and account for it. Someone was mentioning the other day that they said, oh, you need to get this, and it's $50. And that person, it was some kind of marketing something. And they were like, oh, I don't have $50. And this person, a marketer or consultant, was like, well then, maybe you're not ready to be a business, in a business. If you don't have $50 set aside for this really important thing, $50 is not a lot in a small business. It shouldn't be. I mean, it might sound like a lot, but you should have that kind of income for really important things. Appropriateness to your resources. So this one is, if your market only shops at big box stores and you have to produce 10,000 a year, then you don't have those resources. You need to change your market. So how accessible is it to you? Do you have the resources to produce? Or if you produce if your price point is really high, like say you work in glass and you're creating these beautiful sculptures and you want to sell them for $10,000, then the quality needs to be there. But if you can't afford enough glass to make the quality there, or the right kind of glass to make the quality there, that's outside of your resources. And you just need to know that and say, I need to maybe change up what I'm doing. So those are important things to just think about. So, fun part, demographics. I'm going to give you all 6:45 now. So we'll take 15 minutes. Oh, let me explain these real quick first. And then we'll take 15 minutes and then like a 5-minute break, and then we'll come back. So demographics. These are all the nitty-gritties of what you think your demographics are. And then psychographics. So the demographics are pretty straightforward. Psychographics are harder. Lifestyles, activities, interests, opinions. What do these people spend their leisure time doing? Do they go to the theater, or do they go to the movies? Do they go to football games, or do they go to pro football games in Atlanta? Do they travel, or do they stay at home and have staycations? You know, these are the kind of things that can be important to know about your customer. Their personal behaviors and values. Do they help out at Habitat for Humanity? That's definitely a value. Do they volunteer? Do they buy local? Are they involved in their community? Or do they come and live here half the year and then go back to Florida for the other half of the year? Because if you want those people, if that's your market, these people who are coming in and buying big houses and buying stuff to fill those houses, and they're traveling to Florida every winter, that's important to kind of know. So then you know, okay, I need to market when these people are here and not spend my time and effort marketing when they're out in Florida. So that kind of thing. And then self-concepts. A good example is a woman might come into your store and she has the look of a suburban mom that gets her hair and nails done. Use her, this woman, over and over again. And she looks like she would buy a silver plain ring with a couple of diamonds. So that might be what the demographic tells you. You know, she's mom, she has this amount of income, she has kids, she's college educated, she's gonna buy a ring with 3 diamonds that's gold, white gold. But her self-concept is going to tell you this woman is gonna buy some art jewelry from Marty because she likes to be adventurous. And she likes to have some color in her life. And the rest of her life is like this, and she wants some color to allow herself to have a good time. So those are just as important to kind of think about as well. And then buying style. Do they like to shop for a long time? Do they like to come back over and over again? Do they like to contact you a couple times about the stuff before you buy it? Do they whip out their credit card really fast, or do they think about it? Do they like sale items? Do they like getting a deal? Do they like paying a lot of money because they want to have the only one? Lots of information to think about. So yeah, need some time, and feel free to take a break. I guess anyone like to share anything that they wrote down? You don't have to go through all of it, but any insights or flashes of brilliance that you never thought about before?
Well, I mean, I think I did this correctly, but a lot of the same information I plugged in here was similar to the information from the earlier exercises.
Mm-hmm.
I had one, and it was surprising. I want to sell to people who were like me before I retired. When I retired, I lost some of that money. But anyway, but yeah, a professional woman who has the self-confidence to buy something that's different and to wanting to be a little bit different, not wanting to be like everybody else. So it was discriminatory in terms of what you buy.
It can often be very easy to sell to people like us because we know what they want. You know what you want, you know what you like. Maybe it's much more difficult when you're selling to people who aren't like you.
I realized that I'm really banking on the art shows this year. And I think there's like 3 major locations that I'm gonna be in. Western North Carolina, I'm gonna go to Chicago area for a few, and I'm gonna go to the DC area where we used to live. And so I have some customer base in those places already. And I'm just banking on those affluent folks who live there to come out and find me. So hopefully that.
That's your marketing plan?
That is
To
my
show
current
up and
marketing
who?
plan. Right, well,
Wait a minute.
no.
That's good.
Well, to show up and know where I'm going and what kind of people are gonna attend.
Do you have lists of those people that are you gonna use marketing to connect them and make sure that they know that you're gonna be there so you can come back?
Well, one of the things on my list to do is to go back to Facebook and put people in sort of area-specific groups so that I can say, put out a little blast when I'm gonna be in the Chicago area, or put out a little blast when I'm gonna be in DC, and people can come find me that way. So, not yet, but yes, that is
Yeah.
the plan.
Yeah. And that's important knowing, I mean, if those are gonna be your shows, then putting a lot of time and effort kind of marketing.
Into building that list and knowing who comes from where.
Are you gonna do something like a save the date, personal email blast kind of thing? To let people know ahead of time to?
Yes, and I think, one of the things that someone suggested to me is to have a mailing list out there, to collect names and emails, which I have been doing, but also to ask if they're on Facebook and find them that way. And that gives you a lot more information about who they are, what they do, who they talk to, where they go, blah, 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 blah. And so utilizing that, not only is it free, but it's, it's great information. So those are yes, I want to start doing an email blast for those, but I didn't keep real good track of where I collected those emails last year. And so I'm sort of starting again, going, okay, well, I did a lot of local shows last year, but I know a bunch of these people were in Chicago, and some of them, and so, and then, getting it out to friends and stuff who would come and support me because I did something completely different when I lived there. So it would be cool to see their reactions.
Anyone else? And if you didn't have this information, or if you're confused about any of it, keeping track, I know it's hard when if you sell at shows or if you sell online, you already have a million other things that you have to do. I realize that. But kind of any way you can keep any kind of tally or track. Zip codes are great. If you have a tablet, there are programs out there where you can kind of information and Facebook, and if you can keep any kind of track and then try to start to see patterns, if there are patterns. How did you hear about this? Even if you're at a show. So how did you hear about this show today? That's a great place to find out where they look for their information. There are a million different ways that people find out information now. It's overwhelming. That's one of the issues we have. So I'm going to do a real quick marketing survey right here for you. Where do you like to find out information about our handmade stuff? The things that we have. Where's your go-to spot?
I usually talk to somebody, but I also, where I find out for just about any kind of artsy stuff that I want to do is in Mountain Express.
Mountain Express.
Or the Laurel.
Did you search that? So you went through like Google, Bing, Google to the blog.
Yeah, the blog.
The blog. Your newsletters.
Yeah, when it comes to my email box, I like that, but now I will go to the website.
So you're asking about how do we find out about what's going on here? Oh, well, the same way through your newsletter. I thought you meant art in general.
Yeah, no, here.
No, here,
Newsletter.
newsletters or email.
The newsletter and the website.
Yeah, the emails, and I was initially recommended by a friend, so there was a word of mouth that led me here. Emails, website. Not website emails.
I did some work where I looked at the increase over time in craft business in Western North Carolina, and you guys had subsidized a survey.
Oh, yeah, the survey
That's how I got involved.
came into us. Oh, fantastic.
Emails.
I hear about it every day.
I don't remember how I heard about this in the first place, but last year, the thing that kept me coming back was the flyers with the craft lab dates on it. I would always know when the next one was, and I was always ready to show up for that. And now it's your emails, the web, things like that, the blog. I have the blog on my Google Reader so that I can keep up when we
Post all that stuff that we post.
I've just known that I had known for years, because however 20 years so it's been, and I've just always kept in touch with it. And when it kind of crashed and burned, I just watched it come out of the ashes, and I saw those flyers again, and I saw that it, and yeah.
I have to back up. I went to SBDC, or SBTDC, and they gave me your name.
So you can see there are some avenues that different people come to different information, and it's kind of important, it's important to know how, so we can push our efforts into this a lot of different ways that you all heard about it. But I don't think I heard anyone say, you found us on Facebook. But very few of our constituents really find out our stuff on Facebook, which is why I don't post as much stuff on it.
Well, people go on there to look at it, but they don't go for the real information. I guess the new thing will be this gallery thing that you're doing too, but
The member page.
yeah, all those.
Yeah. So,
Well, that's when you post on Facebook, as you say, there's something new on the member page, go check it out.
yeah.
Something,
Yeah, and that's I think what we're gonna start doing is trying to push to certain avenues. So we have a lot. We don't have to spend so much time on the blog and Facebook and Twitter and e-newsletter. Oh, we cut our e-newsletters down to 4 times a month. So it's all gonna be once a week, Monday. Look in your inbox and find out what's going on. So we're working on getting it much more streamlined. So we have less effort. We get more with less effort. But it takes thinking. We have conversations. We have these circle meetings where we really think about where are people finding out this information. Angela is our superstar communications person who is really on, where are people getting this information and how can we get it to them? And it's important to think about. So, next, putting it all together. So I found this quote: "The best possible solutions come from a combination of rational analysis based on the nature of things, and imaginative reintegration of all the different items into a new pattern using non-linear brain power." And I thought that was perfect for you all because you're a bunch of creative individuals who like to use non-linear brain power and to create new patterns. I just thought that was so eloquently put for this group because I see it happen every single week. So amazing. So, to create a marketing where it gets kind of sticky, but it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be a long plan that's going to be in your business plan and all that stuff. But the important thing is to start with a plan, something. Commit to that plan, which can be the really, really hard part, committing. And what they say is the most important thing is developing that core story. Because you might have all these ways of marketing to people, but if you're not telling the right story, if you're not connecting to them, if you're not getting the information they want, then it's all for naught, you know? So you need to have that. So next week, we're going to have how to tell your story. If you come, please bring one piece of work. I'm going to try really hard to get out some information beforehand about telling your story. You will have 1 minute, and I will have an egg timer.
Is that next week?
Next month. Yeah, the next fall meeting. So bring a piece, bring a minute, and you will have an egg timer. You have to stop at that minute. I'm going to be really strict about it. But we'll do a little bit of talk beforehand. But so developing that core story that goes into your marketing plan. So tonight we're going to work on your avenues of disseminating the information, and next month we'll work on that core story so you have something.
Can you say more about that?
Yeah.
What is an example of a good core story? And not to put you on the spot.
Yeah.
Do Handmade in America's core story.
Okay, so what I say when people ask me about Handmade in America is our mission is to grow the economy through craft. We do that in 3 different areas: entrepreneurship, economic development, and one I always forget, education, entrepreneurship, economic development. Yes, the 3 E's. And so we do that through several different programs. The Appalachian Women Entrepreneurs Program, Craft Labs, exhibitions. We also have business incubators to help artists on the retail side. And with our Small Towns program, we have 13 small towns around western North Carolina that we help develop leadership and create situations and leadership so they can go through the process of creating projects that they want to get done that will help their town grow economically. And we feel like it's valuable because it's a needed service that just isn't out there in this area. There are a lot of service providers for businesses, small businesses, but they focus, they don't focus on that arts-based, craft-based, creative-minded individual. And so we help men and women around western North Carolina to succeed. And that not only helps them, it helps the community, and it makes western North Carolina a better place to live. Just about a minute.
What's the difference between core story and artist statement?
It can be, artist statements tend to be longer and encompass more things, but it can be very similar. You can kind of take your core story from your artist statement, but mine is very unemotional because a lot of times people ask, what do you do? And they just kind of want to know what you do as opposed to the value. So I feel like core story has, especially with you all, has much more of that emotional pull. Why does someone want to buy from you? Because I know that all of you have a really great story. I know some of your stories, and they're very, I want to support you.
An artist statement would be more like biographical or something like
Yeah,
that.
there's the difference between an artist statement and an artist bio, but the artist statement too is like, why do you create your work? It's more like why.
Like the passion, emotional part.
Yeah, Amy has her statement. It's a really great statement. It tells a little bit about her history, and then it tells a little bit about the process, and it tells about how she came to it, and it tells about why she does it. So she can kind of pull from that, but a core story can be why, the value for, it's more of a relationship between you and the customer, and you and that person who's reading that story. It helps to create that relationship. So what is the value for them? Your artist statement might be a little bit more about what the value for you is, but your core story really wants to have a value for them.
If you have several products, could you have different stories for those different products?
Yeah, definitely. Because if you have different markets, And the example of that is, we were just talking, so we have artists, art is one of our markets. Donors is another one of our markets. Who was it? Funders
Small town.
is another one, small towns, and like one or two more. So we have very different markets looking for very different things. So we have to have core stories for each one of those markets.
Right.
So if you have kind of an innovative line versus a more traditional, or if you have production versus one-off, those might be different markets. If you sell to galleries, if you have a wholesale market, that's going to be very different from, or relatively different from direct sales, because you're trying to convince a gallery owner to sell your work wholesale versus, and you can have the same kind of vein, but those are different markets. So you could have different core stories for different markets, and you can come with different ones, different core stories. I'll give you a minute for each. Yeah.
Do you guys, do you reckon, are there craft marketing specialists in town if you decide you don't want to become a marketing professional, but you really want good marketing?
There are a few. Who were those two girls that are
Oh, that gave the early, one of the first meetings.
NG Media? Oh yeah, Danielle. Linked Video. They do it. LINK.
Does Sarah do it?
Sarah Van Walt. What? JB Media. Right. JB Media Group.
You really, yeah, you can just go rock.
Yeah.
But somebody who really
When
has
we-
experience with
You
crafts.
just look and see who their customers are. And if their customers are really good, you just look at their background and they'll advertise their customers. If you know their customers, then you know that they've done a real good job for them, so, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And asking. I mean,
I'm sorry.
yeah. Has anyone here ever used a marketer? You've been to JB. You went to Sarah Ellen, didn't you?
I had one conversation.
One conversation. Wendy Outland, who teaches our class that's here, she's really great. She's an artist consultant. There are some photographers, Emily. Maybe that's another form we could put up. Who's your artist marketer?
Marilyn Ball, she works for business.
Emily Nichols. And she does photography, but
I'm sorry, what was her?
Emily Nichols.
Emily?
Emily, E-M-I-L-Y, Nichols. She might do some marketing for artists. So, yeah, they're definitely out there. Because artists don't like to they can afford it. 'Cause it's a lot of work.
Does it take a pretty big budget?
It doesn't have to, it depends on who, like if you use Element, they have Cherokee, like Cherokee is one of their customers. So, yeah, so you can afford them. But some of the smaller ones I think are, Wendy's rates are really affordable.
When you say affordable, I mean, what is a reasonable budget for a crafter like us persons here?
The kind of marketing budget that's typical for businesses is 4% of your gross revenue. So, I think that's a little high for small businesses, especially artists. But I think if you do like 1%, 1 to 2% of your gross revenue for marketing, so if you can fit some marketing plus a marketer into that amount, that's kind of how it would.
Would they make that for you? Would they help make that, maybe double that for you? If
Yeah.
they're a good marketer?
A good marketer would definitely get you more money, as long as you can keep up with. That's another thing. You don't want to go get a marketer who cannot be able to, if your demand gets higher, keep up with the demand. I know they do really great marketing over at, or the people at the business, Blue Ridge Food Ventures. I mean, that in itself is like, they do great marketing for the people that do production. And they know that they're gonna get in and out within a year or two, probably.
What's it called, Blue Ridge what?
Food Ventures, and they don't do craft, they just do food and natural products, but they're a business incubator and they really help market, they're great at marketing their,
Well,
the
that's A/B test.
businesses. Yeah.
You know, you might wanna try A/B test small business and see if you can get in and get some help with them.
And, well, marketing, they don't do marketing for you, SPTVC, they just do consulting and stuff, but.
There is a program
Probably
coming up with them, with the news, you know, about that thing in February where it's is it $150 for some kind of coaching or something? Yes, and they'll keep on with you, what is that? I don't know.
Oh, the Boots Boot
Yeah.
Camp,
Yeah, something like that.
I think it's more like, maybe it's not an East, cause that one's like $350.
Well, this is like $150, it's 1-day seminar, but then they continue with you, you get our coach and all that stuff afterwards.
Who's doing
Oh, at
that?
the SPTVC.
Yes.
Yeah, because the SPTVC, they do free consulting. It's small
Who's that?
business, tech, Small Business Technical Development. Yeah. And they're over on, by Beer Garden, I believe.
Across the
And
street from the library and down just
Yeah.
a little bit.
If you don't know where the Beer Garden is. All right, so marketing plan.
Business development and technology center. That's BTTC.
Marketing is every bit of contact your company has with anyone in the outside world. It's the art of getting people to change their mind or maintain their mindset if they are already inclined to do business with you. Traditional marketing is based on guesswork, and small businesses, you can't really afford much guesswork. So marketing based on psychology is important, and that means repetition. How is your brand repeated? And once again, that goes into that kind of yes, 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 yes. So, in marketing, like I said before, that whole yes thing, when people see, it's everything that they see about you. And when you consider your marketing and your brand, you have to think about every single contact that someone is going to have with your business. Have an example of, we were in a meeting and with some professionals, and one of the professionals was unprofessional. And it showed, and everybody else in that meeting saw how unprofessional she was. And that is part of marketing. It's those people are now probably not going to go and recommend her to other people because they were put off by her, the way she presented herself, her attitude. So that is right there. And those people are people that would really be able to help her business and encourage other people to go and, go to her store and buy her products. But because she had a bad attitude and she did not come across as a professional, that's money lost. Those are good connections lost. So it's about the whole everything and how that customer perceives and how they're going to want to buy from your business. So exercise 5. Write what you are currently doing in these areas. Once you have them all written, see if there's a repetition in branding. So some of the stuff you might have not thought of. Colors. Those are your colors. Do you have colors of your business? Is everything in that color, from your blog to your Facebook to your business cards to your website to your packaging to your, should be. French Broad Chocolate Lounge is the best example. I use them over and over and over again. French Broad Chocolate Lounge, I always use them as an example because that blue and brown are their colors. When you see that blue and brown, when you see their French Broad font, you know it's French Broad chocolates. And you want to buy it. Even if you don't see the chocolate, you want to buy it because you know their chocolates are so good, and that brings that repetition to your head. So that's what I mean when I say, color, size, and style of your work. So your work is an important part of your brand. If your work is a very traditional style and your branding is a very non-traditional funky style, so if you see a lot of people walking into your space, whether it's a booth or a studio or wherever you're selling your work, and you see them walk in and you see them look around and you see them walk back out and you see that over and over and over again, it means your marketing branding is not matching your product branding. Because that means people are like, oh, that looks really cool, I want to go check out that work, and then they go and they're like, oh, this is not what I expected, you know, this is not what I was thinking it's going to be, this is not what I want. So if you see a lot of people who are coming but not buying, it could be a disconnect. I mean, if it's a craft show, you're at the wrong craft show, you know, and their marketing and their promotion is not matching your product. So that's a good way to tell that you have some disconnect and you need to work on where you're marketing, how you do those kind of things. Logo, font colors, it's like the packaging. Same way you say, do you use brown paper bags with nice colored paper with a ribbon, or do you use really stylish silver boxes to package, or do you use bubble wrap and recycled angle bags? Says a lot about you, you know, and I would use recycled angle bags too, probably. No, probably I wouldn't. I would use the pretty bags because that's who I am. But people are going to expect certain things, you know.
If you're
What does your market expect?
If you're recycling,
A lot of people would be cool with
That's your
that.
stitch.
if that's what you're, you know, if that's your, you know.
If that's your thing, and that's totally fine, there's nothing wrong with it. But there are going to be some people who are not going to be okay with
I
that,
understand.
and who aren't going to repeat business, or
If they're buying an expensive piece of jewelry, they aren't taking it home anyways, right?
yeah.
Can I say that, I heard something once, and it was really good. It says your packaging is your second sale.
Say it again.
Your packaging is your second sale.
Because people remember that, sometimes they
Yeah. Oh,
say
yeah.
the packaging, you know, the
I
box is so
think, I think
beautiful.
I've told a story, just give me 2 seconds. I was in shopping in Tokyo, and I was in this really expensive store, and I couldn't afford anything in there. But the packaging was beautiful, the bags were beautiful. They wouldn't give me the bag without wrapping it. They gift wrapped the
A free bag.
empty,
Oh my God.
free bag.
Wow.
And they were as gracious about it as if I had purchased $1 million.
Wow. What kind of store?
It's Shinsedo, I believe. It was
Cosmetic?
or maybe they sold that in there. It was a real upscale store in Japan.
Clothing?
What do they sell?
It's a department store. They had clothes, they had things I couldn't afford.
Wow.
Beautiful.
Tiffany's is a good example.
Yeah.
That little
I mean, you
turquoise
just-
box.
And Green Life, Trader Joe's.
Trader Joe's.
I still have a Trader Joe bag
I
from
have
4 years ago.
Use them all the time.
And yeah, and so every time I think of that, I'm like, man, I really wish I had some key lime cheesecake from Trader Joe's. Like, and I went out of my way. It is. So that's, I mean, it's groceries, but they have a great bag.
I
So,
still send my husband to Trader Joe's every time he's in the DC area.
Yeah.
I go to Trader Joe's and get this, and this. I can't live without it. So,
and you
yeah.
want one of those cool bags.
I know, yeah.
So that, and it has their brand.
Yeah.
When you see a Trader Joe's bag, you know it's a Trader Joe's bag. Like you see a Fresh Market bag with those flowers, you know it's a Fresh Market bag.
The tomato bag. What about portfolio? What do you?
So
mean by-
portfolio, so that's if you go to a gallery or a retail store, is your portfolio folder? Is it in a black box? Is it in a handmade?
Presentation box.
Yeah, presentation box that you made. You know, those kind of things. When you send it via email, does it have your logo at the bottom of is your watermark your logo? that you have on every photo. Is your font the same font that you use over and over and over again? You should use the same font on everything, whether it's Times. I use Baskerville. I love Baskerville. There are kind of Arial, Baskerville, Times, Helvetica, Garmin. They're the safe fonts.
Yeah.
And it's better to find a safe font that you like and you use it over and over again. Because even that is part of a brand, believe it or not. And people really start to recognize stuff like that on your emails.
If you choose a font that's absolutely stunning and beautiful, but somebody can't print it out, or it won't come off on their computer, you've lost the whole impact. So it's better to go with one of the more standard
And you know,
fonts.
that's a great point, because you know on your website that it's going to come up on everybody's page the same.
Oh.
Because a lot of computers, if they don't support that font with different things, that's a great example, then it's going to wonky it up on their computer. It's going to come out with some like robot. It won't. I mean, you can read it, but it'll change it, and it won't look good. So if you use those typical fonts that people use, you're going to have more control over what you're
And you can vary it by doing, doing highlighted, scripted, you can do all kinds of stuff, but use that font. Use a font that's normal.
And you have to think about like whimsical fonts versus sophisticated fonts. There's certain fonts that are convey different ideas. That the font that they used to use for the ALL program was that Papyrus. And I like it. It's not my
They used to for what program?
the ALL program. It used to be whenever she would do stuff, she would use that Papyrus font, and I just don't think it's the right place for it. So I stopped using it, and that was a very branding decision. So location of business, where if you're in like the River Arts District and you're, I don't know, selling. A lot of stuff works down there, but I don't know. Bellagio would not go and sell down in the Arts District. They probably wouldn't do it as well. So advertising, you always need to have the same look for advertising. It's great. Public relations, PR. However you can have control over PR is important. If you can get your logo and all your PR stuff, if you're in a magazine or a book or an article or something for handmade, send them your logo. Website should look all across. You should have standards, and that should be colors and fonts and all that. Email name and signature drives me crazy when people send me an email and they're like, "Can you send me something?" and I don't have their, or they'll say, "Check out my business." If you have a business and you're sending business information, you should have a signature that has all your business information on it. Your business name, your address, your email address, your website, your Facebook page, if you have a Facebook page, your Twitter account now, blog. It should have all that stuff so people can easily find that information via email, because I don't know how many times I have to search for people's information. I don't have time for that. I do it because it's my job. Other people aren't going to do it because they're not getting paid, or maybe they are, but they have other stuff to do. So make sure that that has it on it, and your email address. I've come across some unfortunate business email addresses, and they don't always convey. It's important that your email address conveys your business. So if it's not the name of your business, it needs to be easy and readable and understandable. If you have a hard time writing R's, I have a really hard time writing little R's and people getting, I have a hard time writing legibly. And I make sure that I always write out my email address really easy. If your email address is hard to read when you write it, that's not good because people aren't going to know if you write it down. If it's hard to, if it's got like a lot of H's, I know somebody who has like 5 H's and then a couple of numbers, that's not a good business. It's not good for branding. You want something that's recognizable, easy to read, easy to write, conveys you as a business person and your business as a business. You don't want it to be something funny or cute, or it can be if you're funny and cute. You know, well, you are. But you're also sophisticated and you're also professional. So it's important. Voicemail. Your voicemail is important, obviously. The tone of voice on a voicemail. I do not like calling people. My sisters both are really bad about this. Hi, this is so-and-so. Like, they sound so just sad. Like, you sound really sad on your email address, or your voicemail. You want to sound happy. Engaging customers, that's part of your brand. You want to have a nice attitude and convey your, if you're really professional, convey that, etc. Studio booth needs to convey, once again, your brand. Is it traditional and funky, or is it trying to think of a clean and simple, or, and it needs to go along. Yeah.
When talking elegant and historical.
Yes. Attitude and customer service, follow up, all these things need to have a cohesive line throughout them. And I'm going to go ahead and you all can take this home, sorry. I mean, we're going to get close to time. So I'll just kind of go through and then you can think about it. Clarifying your marketing position. Does it offer benefit that my target audience really wants? So this is your marketing position, where you are, where you're marketing to. Is it really a great benefit? What you're conveying through your story and through your marketing, is it going to benefit the people? Do they know it's going to benefit them? Does it separate you from your competition? If everybody else is just marketing through the Mountain Express, will it set you apart if you advertise through the Mountain Express and put a coupon in there? You know, that kind of thing that differentiates you from your competition. Part of a marketing plan can be those value-added things as your marketing plan. So if someone, referrals should be a part of your marketing plan. So if someone refers, will they get something? Hair salons are great at this. If someone refers you, you get a free haircut. Or, you know, if you get this, if you refer someone, then you get this. So separating you from your competition. And is it unique or difficult to copy? That goes with your work too, your brand. Is it unique enough that other people won't steal your ideas? 7, so creating your marketing strategy. It doesn't have to be a lot, a paragraph is fine. The 7-sentence marketing strategy. So first, the purpose of the marketing, the physical action you want your prospect to take. I want them to attend meetings. I want to see this and say, I want to attend this meeting. Or I want them to go to the blog. Or I want them to pay for membership. These are the actions. How will you achieve that purpose? Your competitive advantage and benefit, what puts you ahead of the other people. Your target market, and that can be that one sentence, breaking all that demographic and psychographic stuff into one. The niche and position and what you stand for, what sets you apart from other people. The identity of your business, marketing weapons you will use, and your budget. So, which should be expressed as as a percentage of your projected gross revenues. What percentage of you? So if you expect to make $20,000, you know, is it going to be 1%? And then you can go from there. So your marketing tools. Last thing, what can you use? Word of mouth, referrals, press releases. I kind of gave you what you need in a press release. Those are great. You should all be doing press releases at least once a year, at least. Media giveaways, Carolina coupons, those things. Don't use Groupon, please. Letters to editor. You can get published that way. Definitely give away. Submissions to magazines. We talked about that last time. That's marketing. Radio and TV. Lectures. You all are a bunch of smart women with a lot of things to offer. And there are people out here who want to hear what you have to say. So looking around, and you can be like Rotaries, meetup groups. Just go out and find groups where people meet. Send them an email and say, hey, can I take 10 minutes to talk to you about this subject? And I bet you a lot of them will say yes. Especially if you're going to bring in a demonstration or something. Donate free samples, business cards, internet, which that's just way too much to talk about tonight. And cooperative advertising. Hint, hint. An ad is much cheaper if you do it under Women in Asheville, Creative Women in Asheville, Craft Women in Asheville, you know, like anytime that you can find cooperative advertising, go for it. And then why people buy. It's gorgeous. I have to have it. Bargain, it's too good to resist. It's worth it. Higher quality than usual for that price range. Sold on it. The salesperson was friendly, or my friends taught me into it. And I need it. I gotta have something. I'm running out of time for an upcoming event or trip. Those are important to think about. Why do people buy your stuff? So, now that you all are just completely overwhelmed, I'm really sorry. The first person to send me their marketing plan will be featured on all of our social media.
Oh my gosh.
And not as your marketing plan, but as like, this wonderful woman, she does her art. Here are 5 pictures of her work. I won't feature your marketing plan, don't worry. But give me I would love to see them if you have any questions or if you just want to shoot maybe a little incentive for you to create.
Go back and post up.
Oh, the homework. So, you all are all visual people. Like to do things visually. I would recommend, if you want to get visual with this, to get a pegboard or something and start collecting. If you see something that really resonates with you and you feel like it goes with your brand, cut it out and put it on that pegboard. If you see a font that you really like, cut it out and put it on that pegboard. If you like some kind of marketing or advertising, cut it out and put it on that pegboard. Colors, those color swatches from Lowe's, man, you get those things and they're like, this is the elegant palette, and this is this West Coast palette, and this is the, boating palette, and they give you colors and the market that they're selling them to right there. So things like that. So then you can see what you start to like and what resonates with you and your business, or what, if it resonates with your business. And then you can start developing that branding in a visual, fun way. And that's totally fun. Magazines, who does your market, what does their house look like? Are you a dwell house that people are going to put your work in? Is it a Southern Homes and Gardens house? Is it a Carolina home house? Is it a bust house? So, magazines are always a great way to find out more information about your market, what they're buying, what they're interested in, what the trends are. So, a vision board for your brand. Well, thank you all for coming.